Dear friends, today's topic can be as controversial as it can be thought-provoking. Now we're talking about India's image on the global stage. Are Indians becoming more assertive, bordering on the arrogant, or is the world simply looking at us differently? Now I talk as a global Desi, but you've probably felt it too. The world seems to be viewing Indians differently these days. Sometimes with admiration, but sometimes with unease. But what has changed? Have we changed as Indians? Or is our perception changing because of the media and social media narratives? Now, first things first, my dear friends, India is definitely rising. There are no second thoughts about it. From a growing economy to advancements in technology, space exploration, and digital infrastructure, the world cannot ignore India anymore. The Indian diaspora is thriving. Our culture, our cricket, our films are all making waves globally. This is all good, right? But here's the flip side. Our elected leaders are becoming more and more vocal on the world stage, to the extent that questions are beginning to emerge. Are we projecting India's strength or are we projecting India's arrogance? Now, India's recent global moves from its assertive G20 presidency last year to becoming a key player in the Quad Alliance, it all signifies a bolder approach to diplomacy. All fantastic, all brilliant. But what explains the viral videos of Indian ministers aggressively asserting their stance in global platforms? Our leaders are now making headlines for the wrong reasons. Public spats with foreign ministers and aggressive posturing in global forums. Namaste diplomacy, practiced in moderation, is great. Campaigns such as promoting yoga and Ayurveda are helpful in strategically positioning India as being both modern as well as traditional. But political leaders and media often amplify this, forming a hyper-nationalistic narrative. While this can boost domestic morale, it can be perceived as mere chest-thumping outside of India. Now, we all know the fact that there is growing resentment in diplomatic relationships with countries such as Canada, and even with our neighbors like China, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and even Nepal, with whom we've been long-time friends. While assertiveness can be a sign of strength, does this sometimes cross the line towards arrogance? Are poor Indians bearing the brunt? Especially since we have recently seen in the news that Indians have suffered a higher than average 15% visa rejection rate to Schengen countries, leading to huge financial losses. Of course, the stories of illegal migration by Indians from Canada to the US aren't helping either. Now let's talk about unemployment and migration, my friends. On the one hand, India enjoys a fantastic demographic dividend, the youngest workforce in the world. On the other, a significant chunk of this young workforce is struggling with unemployment. I've made another video on this topic if you'd like to have a look. It must be tagged somewhere here, or if not, I'll drop the link in the description. Now, reports show that unemployment, particularly among youth, is alarmingly high. And what's the solution? Surely, as I see it, not government-assisted migration. Now, the government-to-government agreement, G2G, has been signed between India and Israel to supply construction workers to Israel. And you know what? Young people are taking up the offer even to work in war-torn areas because they are unable to find suitable employment in their home country. Now, not just Israel. Indians are taking up roles in construction, in plumbing, caregiving, etc. in many other countries across Europe and the rest of the world. Now, while this may seem like creation of opportunities and to an extent address the unemployment problem in India in the short term, from a global Desi perspective, it also paints a very stark picture of what India is exporting. Is this the image we want to project to the world? Do we want to advertise India as a supplier of low-cost, unskilled labor to the world? Are we painting a picture of exporting labor to other countries to solve our own unemployment problems? We all know that the brightest minds are leaving India voluntarily because they don't see a future in India. Now, this is something that's worth pondering. Remember the time, my friends, not long ago, when India used to wield tremendous soft power. Not because India was rich or strong, but because India was perceived as a country with style, with personality, with culture, and with a rich history. The tourism scene was flourishing, both cultural tourism as well as holiday goers. Goa, one of the crown jewels of Indian tourism, saw an 80% decline in foreign tourists from 2019 to 2023. This hasn't picked up after COVID. What is driving them away? Now, tourists say that poor infrastructure, unfriendly policies, and perhaps a perception that we're not as friendly and welcoming as before. Also, it does not help that other countries such as Sri Lanka and Thailand, and even some Far Eastern countries, provide better deals, provide friendlier policies, and better infrastructure than India. India was an epitome of soft power, attracting and influencing others through culture, through values and policies. However, when aggressive rhetoric and policies overshadow these elements, the soft power diminishes. The perception shifts from being that of a land of wisdom and peace to a nation driven by hostility and arrogance. Now, knowing the people in India, this is still far away from the truth. Indians are still as friendly and welcoming as before. India's path forward lies in recalibrating the strategies, my friends. India dearly needs to lose the focus on unskilled labor exports and project itself instead as a hub for innovation and excellence. Now, part of this can be achieved by upskilling our youth with the skills relevant for the changing times, introducing apprenticeship programs more aggressively, and promoting entrepreneurship, especially in rural areas. India needs to invest in tourism and infrastructure. I've spoken about infrastructure in another video, so if you'd like to watch it, I'll drop the description in the link below. A friendlier visa policy, cleaner cities, and improved infrastructure can revitalize India's appeal as a preferred travel destination. India needs to promote positive diplomacy. The leaders must prioritize closed-door negotiations and respectful diplomacy and avoid social media stunts. India needs to celebrate its culture. By strengthening our cultural exchanges and showing India's diversity, we can rekindle the soft power globally. Now, Indian culture is still largely preserved in the rural areas, but more needs to be done so that these don't erode in the name of progress and modernism. Now, India, as I see it, stands at a crossroads, my friends. As we rise on the global stage, we must ask ourselves, what kind of a nation do we want to be? Are we willing to trade respect for short-term gains, or can we balance pride with humility? India's greatness lies not just in the economic power, but in its ability to inspire, attract, and unite. Now, as Indians living abroad, my dear friends, we straddle two different worlds. While we take pride in our roots and the rise of our homeland, we also face stereotypes, some of which are good, but mind you, of late, not really. Before we blame the world, let's reflect. Are we doing enough to uphold the values that earned us respect globally? Along with economic and geopolitical ascendancy, the transformation in global narratives about India is equally significant. Are we showcasing our best? Our best hospitality, our ingenuity, our resilience? Or are we just letting these recent wins overshadow the bigger picture? Now, every time an Indian abroad behaves aggressively or disregards local norms, it chips away at our collective reputation, even if that's a minister. On the flip side, every act of kindness, innovation, and collaboration can help rebuild the image. I'll leave you with a question, my dear friends. Is the world ready for a more assertive and confident India? Or does India need to do more to project a more grounded image in the face of recent development? If you want to join in the conversation, please drop your thoughts and comments below. We'd be happy to read them and respond to them. And if you'd like to watch more content from the perspective of global Desis, please like and subscribe to our channel.